That being said, I think that might also end Jaime's storyline, because I think for Jaime, the only way that he's going to prove to Stoneheart to Lady Stoneheart, or to Uncat as people call her, um, I think the deal for him to stay alive, or maybe not even to stay alive, but as his last mission, is going to be to kill his sister. And I think that he might agree to that only because that he has so much resentment and hurt towards her anyway. He saw how she pretty much destroyed his life. Um, that being said, I think that that might end both their storylines. I would really love Jaime to kind of not have his storyline end with killing Cersei, but at the same point in time, we don't always get what we want. I just do want Cersei to be dead or gone or in chains or whatever by the end of the sixth book, because I just think that she really won't have a part in the seventh, sadly, because I think the seventh will be mostly the end of the struggle with the White Walkers and the dragons, because I think they both will have a struggle. Um, and then pretty much the reformation of the kingdom, possibly going into an epilogue that might be, who knows how long, George R. R. Martin want to go in the future. I mean, we might get to see Rickon grown up, we might get to see Sansa's kids and that kind of stuff. I mean, who knows? Just because I do think that in a series of this caliber, the epilogue is going to be so important, because we're going to want to know what the sustaining outcome was of all this conflict. You know, the War of the Five Kings, um, the War of the Three Queens that Littlefinger says is coming up, the White Walkers, the dragons. You know, it's gonna be something that we're gonna want to know what happens for years after, because this is a huge struggle. Um, let's see, but other storylines I kind of want to see ended. I really would like the Bolton storyline, the Bolton and Freys, to be honest with you, storyline to be ended, just because of the fact that I think that the Freys have kind of done their deal on the whole plot of the story. Now they just need to pretty much perish and just get killed out or dispossessed or something. Um, the Boltons, I think, are for sure up, just because there's only two Boltons, Ramsay and Roose. And I mean, if Winterfell is taken, there's no way that both of them aren't going to be killed. Um, which I think Winterfell will be taken. That being said, I think that Stannis um, has a lot of plans. And see, notice, and this is one thing I'm going to say about the Battle for Winterfell. Um, we know, because of Theon's chapter that's leaked, that when the White Harbor and Freyman went out, the Freyman fell into a pit that was dug by Stannis's men. So Hoster Frey and all the like pretty much a lot of the Frey auxiliary forces are now killed. So that took away a huge part of Roose's forces. While the White Harbor men, we know, is just waiting for the exact moment to just switch their forces and kill the other people. So the White Harbor men are now out with Stannis' army, and the Freys are pretty much killed because they went in the pit. Okay, but you know, a lot of people, oh no, well, Stannis' army are starving and it's surrounded, and that kind of stuff. You know, Winterfell is nice, yeah, but see, at the same point in time, Roose knows that that tension is growing within Winterfell, and that he needs to do something about it, which means either fight and die or something. And then people also say, well, Stannis's camp is starving and it's undefended and blah blah blah. Okay, starving maybe yes, but undefended not at all. Notice that they're right by a frozen lake. Okay, and all he needs to do is pretty much get the main part of Roose's forces onto that lake, which they already said has been fished out, and people in the fishing have created the holes enough so that if an army goes into that lake, boom, it's just they're all dead. You know, and that's what I think is honestly going to happen. I think that's how Stannis is going to win. I think he's going to lure Roose's army onto the lake, and then they're going to just pretty much, that's going to be it for them, and that's how the Battle for Winterfell is going to be. And also, honestly, um, hopefully that's what's going to wrap up the whole Bolton mess with that kind of stuff too. And then the Starks will be restored. Um, and pretty much, I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what will happen in the terms of will Starks be king of the North because no one's going to really want Stannis, or will that finally win people over to Stannis' side? That is the question. If Stannis gets rid of the Boltons and the Freys from the North and avenges the Starks, will that be enough for the North to rally and say he's our king? I mean, what do you guys think? I think that the North is always going to be loyal to the Starks, and they'll kind of watch for what the Starks say. If Rickon is found, they'll kind of be like, okay, well, does Rickon want to be king of the North, or are we going to accept Stannis? Um, but at that point in time, being with everything being said with that, Stannis is also going to have the White Walkers to deal with, and that's going to be probably one of the main things. Um, so pretty much, yeah. I think to look at, I think the storylines, I think the Lannister storyline, and I think the Winterfell slash Roose slash Frey storyline need to be wrapped up by the ending of the sixth book, just because time will not be spent finishing those storylines in the other book, because you're going to have to make time to actually show the struggle of the White Walkers. Excuse me. You're going to have to make time to actually show the struggle of the White Walkers. You're going to have to make time to show the struggle of the dragons. All that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm just saying that, there's some two big things that are coming up that George R.R. Martin needs to make space for. So I think that's where a couple of the storylines are going to find their end, maybe even early within the sixth book. I mean, who knows? I do think. Well, we do know that the Winds of Winter is going to be opening up with two battles. So we're going to have the battle for Meereen, and then hopefully right after that, we're also going to have the battle for Winterfell. So that right there is already going to end a lot of. It's going to end a lot of point of views. Hopefully, I think. So that way it can kind of get to the nitty gritty, and the story can actually progress to where we actually see the White Walkers attack the wall. But then another thing, and I'll finish up with just a little segment on this, is another thing is what's happening in the Citadel with Sam. The hook-nosed man, I mean, when he became Pate. What's up with that? We know that the hook-nosed man was previously Jaqen H'ghar, and that he's a faceless man. So what is the faceless man doing at the Citadel, posing as as a kind of wacky apprentice, especially under Marwyn, the mage, who is trying to protect Daenerys from what it seems, from harm from the other maesters, and that kind of stuff. However, we do know that the faceless men are a part of Braavos, and Braavos pretty much hates dragons and any Valyrian descendant because of the fact that they were all descendants from slaves. That were slaves to the Valyrians and who got decimated by the dragons and such. So I think that's going to be kind of interesting. I think that that Sam having the drinking horn that he was given, which is probably in all actuality the Horn of Jormungand, that's going to come into play at some point in time. I mean, it's going to have to come into play at some point in time. But is there going to be really, how are they going to get that back to the wall when Sam, it's going to take years for Sam to become a maester. Unless he has to go back up there really quick or something like that. I really don't see, or unless the really sad part is if the faceless man who is Pate kills Sam and then realizes what the horn is and then takes Sam's face and then goes back to not to Winterfell, but to the wall. And then, then if he somehow uses the horn to blow down the wall because he was secretly working for the others. I mean, who knows? That could be one storyline there. But pretty much, I have a couple of other theories that I think might be coming up. Cold Hands, for one, I think I have an explanation for him. And I do believe I have an explanation for Quaithe. Those two are kind of mysterious characters that I kind of been working on and trying to figure out their backstories. But as always, Valor Morgulis.